I think it's just
It's the same.
movement.
Yeah, but if you want to use the soul.
Sure. What would you want to what would be the best way to help you before you
Maybe
do your segments?
Tuesday.
Maybe like play through the first.
It's like 9, I think. I think
What would be the best?
I think playing through the first movement would probably be good. Maybe working on, I don't know, whatever you think. But I think working on the first movement would probably be good. Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, let's see how it goes with your boss.
Yeah.
Maybe it's good to
Sounds good. Thank you.
So it is time. I always wait for the bell. There was a bell. Good day, and thank you very much for joining us now the third Masterclass series sponsored by YU. I will let Ananda, our co-president, talk about this in greater detail in a few minutes. First, let me say that this is a pleasure and honor to have Professor Young Kim here with us today, sharing your insights. I know Professor Young Kim for a while now, and I respected your work all these years. And then so finally, it's really good that you are able, in your busy schedule, to come here, come back to New Haven. She works chiefly, as you said, upstate New York in Skidmore College, but she really works everywhere. Recently in Austria and in Korea, doing extensive consulting and teaching work. So really, we're very fortunate today. And then we're very fortunate today to have 4 talented people here playing a nice, diverse program. So please continue.
Yeah, welcome everybody. I just want to say a few thank yous before we get started. First of all, we'd like to thank the ADF for offering us a grant that allows us to invite such wonderful artists as Professor Kim. And we're grateful for the head of college at Silliman for letting us use this beautiful space as a venue for the master classes. And we're grateful for the performers too that we're about to hear today. So I'll just announce the order. So we're starting off with Jairus Rhodes playing Beethoven Sonata number 27, followed by Christian playing Chopin Nocturne in C minor, me playing Beethoven by Franz Liszt, and last but not least is David playing Carnival of Vienna by Schumann. So first up is Jairus.
So senior, junior, senior, sophomore, senior, right? Yeah. Good. Looking forward.
Thank you very much for coming, and it's my pleasure to be here to work with great students. Okay, so Beethoven, of course, 32 sonatas, and this is number what?
27.
27. So what's the sonata before this?
Les Adieux.
Yeah, Les Adieux. Les Adieux is like, that was written a couple of years before this. So he kind of had a little gap, like 4 or 5 years, to come back to the piano sonata. And personally, he had, what was going on at the time?
At the start of this one?
Between, let's say, Les Adieux, which is what, about 4 or 5 years before this. This was written, I think, 1814. Yes, Les Adieux was like 1809, I think. So personally,
Full deafness?
yes,
That's
kind
what
of,
it's called.
yes. He was definitely completely almost deaf at the time. And personally also, his brother passed away, and all his custody of his nephew and all these things. And then his opera also, he was like, going back and forth, working on that. So there was a lot of things going on, and didn't write sonatas. And then he came back to this 2-movement sonata, which is not, usual for him. He had a couple of other 2-movement sonatas, and it's quite different, contrasting in style too. And this could be kind of going into his last 5 sonatas. 101 is another few years after this. He has another few years of gap, like 3 years or something, to get to the last 5 sonatas. So kind of in the middle, bridging, and he does. What do you feel about this sonata? How many Beethoven sonatas have you played?
Like 4 others.
Okay. Yeah, Les Adieux is the one you played?
Yeah.
Good, yes. So is there a difference between Les Adieux and this one?
He's way more articulate about the emotions that he needs the performer to convey. He actually specifies, and I think prior to this, he named it, like he was going to name the sonata a conversation between head and heart.
Good.
Something like that.
Yes,
So
that's a little anecdote about this sonata, yes. Head and heart, so there's obviously, had more intellectual part, some parts, and then there is beautiful that emotions, that heart part is like, we hear that 2 things going on in there, especially like the first movement, and good, a lot of things, good. And can we start the beginning? And then I really think the first page of this sonata is kind of already gives 3 different ideas. Go on. Yeah. Start the beginning. Can I show a little bit? I like your idea, but thinking about this. And then you're already giving a little bit of it's not a total surprise. I think know the Beethoven Suite Forte and piano, I think you could show this more, and then maybe think of like, big questioning and kind of, you're kind of answering it, but totally different voice. Can be shown. So don't give any clue, it's gonna come because you're already showing that. Another idea now. Like very different first 8 bar and then very melodic long line, which is, I think it's hard motion, and then another beautiful like hard. Now in general you know this piece very well, but what I want to concentrate is with pedaling is another personal taste matter too, but again I happen to give a presentation on pedaling in classical period, actually for this teachers association like 2 weeks ago. So I brought all the teachers and students to our fortepiano room. Have you ever tried fortepiano?
No, I haven't.
I strongly, I know Yale has the biggest, the variety of instrument in Yale collection here. I wish, you guys have some opportunity to try some. Because Beethoven's time, this instrument was rapidly really growing. So fortepiano, do you know how many pianos he tried? Yeah?
No.
7 different pianos. 7, yes. So, started with earlier ones, 5 octaves, it was black and white, the color was different, and that's something like Mozart would have used. But then he needed more. And he would definitely explore more. So along the way, the Walter pianos, usually Anton Walter is 1790s and 5 octave, but he got few more notes, and then by the time here, after 1800, he had 6 octaves. And he's really later one, like Graf, or the English instrument Broadwood. That's definitely 6.5. So he himself, had this ability to write more dynamic, gradual, more dramatic pieces, and he would use literally bottom to the top. And if you are playing that, even like Conrad, we have original Conrad at Skidmore, so I'm trying that, and even 30 years before, like Walter, huge difference. You would almost feel like Walter piano is this like harpsichord almost? And then Conrad is much better, but compared to what we have, and the pedaling, some of those pedals came out later. What we have, these kind of pedal, they had lever up here, so they would do it controlling it here. And even if you use that pedal, it really sounds tiny. The resonance is not powerful like this. And the depth of the key was only 2/3 of what we have now. So literally, we're working so hard with our modern instruments. So going back to the pedal sounds much less than those fortepianos. I'm not saying that we should imitate only, how it sounded back then, but still, you want to respect the idea how Beethoven was thinking of these. So for instance, your pedaling, you did the second phrase, this very beautiful. 30s, 40s kind of sound, I would. Of course, you need pedal. I would connect it. And then a lot of delayed pedal you need to use because our modern piano, when you're looking at, have you ever, I was surprised also for a lot of my students, and I myself, when I was college, I never looked inside of the piano, but when you're looking at it, when you're using the pedal, the dampers, there's a damper, and that's what you put the damper pedal, but then when you use the full depth of the pedal, it's only like quarter of an inch from the string. And then we have this much of resonance. And if we use half, if we use 1/3, that's very shallow. And then when you're looking at it, when you're using like 1/4 or even 1/5 of that depth, very shallow, then your dampers almost get inside. When you're practicing in grand piano, I hope you guys look inside, and then that's almost it's like slightly up there. Definitely less resonant, isn't it? So that's why I want you to think of, I know you have to play this in next week or something. Just think of, we don't need full wet pedal, especially second movement. It's way too much pedal for my taste. And if you're recording this for grad school, you gotta please everybody, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say, too much pedal. Okay? And then even like here, your pedaling is more like. I know, some people do that legato, I agree, but he didn't give big legato time there, and do we need that much of a pedal? Okay? So think of a little bit in that manner so that you don't change a lot, but just thinking about, am I okay? Little shallow pedal. Okay? Can we, and then also, can we go to that counterpoint part? For instance, another moment, in here. Can you play this one and then do your way? Where is it? Same page.
Oh.
Same page, yeah. Can we, show? I know you already changed your pedaling a little bit. Already reduced a little bit, but, and then here, think about here. You did most. I know that you can still do this as a finger pedal. Do we need this kind of sound? It would not exist in forte piano those days. Okay? So just think of it a little differently because the instrument was different, and then this is, again, a little bit, not only 1814, but you're playing almost like 1840s piano or something like that, okay? So that's another part that I would, carefully pedal, and see, can we go through that? Can we go to that?
Yeah. Measure 113.
Yes, much clearer. Yeah, okay, good, thank you. He loved this counterpoint. He used yeah, by late, Beethoven, you'll hear fugue or counterpoints all over because, all the composers, they always go back to Bach. And then with this, and then here, I know you're hearing this, but this, that's not the most important part. What do you think of that? In his mind, he wanted this line to go into the left hand, and I think right hand is just a little bit of elaborative, like, embellishment. So I really think that should be, because we hear that the most. So can you do that secondary almost, and can you really bring out that counterpoint in your left hand and a little more, and then pedaling too. You don't want to use all that deep pedal, but try a little differently. So from the, again. See, you can do nice legato without, yeah. And then again, even like here, you're doing very but why not? He doesn't really put like big legato sign here. And I know are you using Sonata edition? Is this?
This is, that's
Henley?
Shuffle, but this is Henley.
Henley, yeah. I would go through some of your articulation a little more honestly, because I know, I like that legato style, but that gives an impression of more like late romantic kind of idea. Okay? Bottom. I would just hold that thumb because it's half note, but the quarter notes doesn't have to be all connected like legato, okay? And then he goes to he does augmented, does that, and then that's what. That's the motif of that three note that he throughout the piece. He's using that motif here and there, and he's coming back to that very cleverly. Okay, so let's move on to second due to the time. So second movement, what did he say about this? We don't know if it's true or not. It's an anecdote. Yeah, that we think he told his students or somebody. Yeah. What is it?
That this was was it the divorce thing? The divorce story about?
No, it's just a conversation between like lovers.
Yeah.
It's a like beautiful. And which composer it reminds you of?
Schubert.
Oh, absolutely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Schubert, yes, Schubert. And what is the form? It comes back and back so it's rondo, so it's almost like, isn't it too much? But again, it's so beautiful. And I would make, again, articulations a little more clearly. You're playing everything a little bit too much of articulation. If you don't like it at this point, you don't have to do it, but why not one of those repeats? Because so much repeat and it sounds all the same. It's portato there. Here too. And then this is that's all beautiful, but you know what I mean? Like in the beginning, and then one, and then. that way, good, but how many times do we repeat this?
Yeah.
Why not using those articulations? I mean, he wanted it, and then I would definitely, yes, try that. And then again, the pedaling of that for certain parts, I would, as we go to the next page, maybe let's do one more, and then we'll have to end. Yeah. That's kind of first episode there, yeah. And then this, can you try just this? If you could just do the chord and then get the idea how you want, because you're anticipating your piano too soon. Bum bum, bum bum, bum. I'm not saying to pause, but if you do just without the 16th, can you show us like bum bum? Yes. That's it. That's it. I would shape it that way first and then add on those 16. Yeah, I know so much to talk about, but again, I would use more of legato singing because in my impression, it's so beautiful, but it was almost like, is this Chopin? At some point at the end, like, is this like Chopin? Because of all these pedals and rubato is fine, but if you just, go back a little bit, 20 years, 30 years, an instrument was different, you would have a different interpretation. So that it's lyrical and